flash in the pan technology? Maybe. They're going to make a shed load of money out of it. They're going to stop Nintendo making money, but Nintendo don't need to worry about that because they've got new horizons on their market.
They do.
Yes, and maybe we should move on to that one next.
Of course. Tell us about that.
The big thing for Nintendo this year was not the Wii, because everyone's been still in the limelight, so they've gone and released yet another DS. And that brings us up to about 500 different models of DS, but this one's actually quite important because it's the Nintendo 3DS. Now, for those of you out there who haven't quite caught the bug yet, there are 3D TVs out there on the market, quite expensive. You have to wear the glasses and you've only got one 3D channel at the moment, but should you buy a 3D Blu-ray and switch on the right mode, you get 3D television, which is fantastic. The only problem is, if you're like me, you wear specky tackles, and wearing the glasses on the top can be quite annoying. So what Nintendo have done is they've taken a DS XL, they've given the top screen a 3-inch to 3.5-inch boost on the console to make it bigger, and they've turned that into a full 3D screen. I haven't seen it in action myself, but apparently images do pop out in front of you even though if you're holding it quite close. You know, we're talking about a foot's distance. They've also increased the hardware potential by having a DualShock controller, joypad on the side, and got better sound, but they still retain the touchscreen on the bottom to advance games. I'm not sure if it's going to be that great. What I am sure about though is that they're going to sell it for less than 200 quid. And the XL at the moment is less than 200 quid.
How much is a regular DS?
A DSi, which is not the XL, which has the two cameras, is about 150, and the DS Lite's 100. And the DSi...
It depends what model you go for.
Well, you've got DS Lite, which has no cameras, standard console, small screens, 100 quid. DSi, 2 cameras, slightly bigger screen, 150, give or take where you go. DSi XL, 3 8-inch screens, and 2 cameras on there as well. No DualShock or no dual stick on there, and that's about 180. If the 3DS comes out at the same price as the DSi XL, you've got your 2 cameras, you've got your dual stick, you've got your 3D screen. It's cracking graphics, and it's N64 with 3D pop-out graphics. Problem is, who's going to buy it? I don't own a DS. You own a DS.
I own a DS, and I have to be honest to say, my DS is used for puzzle games.
90% of DS games are.
I can't play a serious game on it. The screen is too small. The touch stick just
stylus.
It's just stylus. Does not really give much control for a more in-depth game. A 3.5-inch screen for 3D technology. Do you know? I've been in cinema recently and seen some movies in 3D, and if they can only get a couple of things to pop out at you quite realistically on a giant cinema screen,
gonna have to shoot you down there because the glasses you get in the cinema are what's called passive. That means the image comes in and it's based on light and movement for different sides of the brain.
So what's the difference between
the 3D glasses you get on your telly, if you go into any electrical store and have a look, is that you put the glasses on and they blink 150 times on each eye, on and off. That's why you can see a more clear image, because only one side of the brain can see it, or one side of your eye can see it. It's much better than what's called a passive view. You're not always seeing every image, so it's not red and blue.
But it's a 3.5-inch screen.
I know.
We're talking like this.
See, I still think it's quite exciting. I think it's fantastic.
It's exciting, but
if you can be sat there and you've got stuff coming right out, you know, right out the screen at your face, that's great. How is that not good?
Well, because it's N64 graphics.
Still, we're talking about flash in the pan technology, and I think that 3D is something that is absolutely not that.
No, 3D is coming.
I think it's coming, and for films, I couldn't really care either way. I think when you see a 3D film in a cinema, I kind of think,
there doesn't seem much point.
I'm not really that bothered. But for games, I think the potential is massive. I mean,
3D
to actually have bullets flying past you and stuff, I think it'd be fantastic.
Something that didn't bring up was the NVIDIA GeForce 3D cards for the massive desktop PCs. You know, very expensive, very, very, very good graphics.
I know you can get 3D games in other ways than with the 3DS.
I just
don't
understand
guess this is good
why
because
they
it's just you can
decided
pick
to
it up
put
and you can play it.
Small
that is the thing.
console.
I mean, can you appreciate a 3D image on a bus? Can you appreciate a 3D image in a game that's maybe not action orientated? Is every game going to be 3D compatible?
Well,
are they going to make games that utilise the technology? Yeah. Because the feeling that I have very much with the DS Lite is you have two types of game. You have a puzzle or you have a look after a horse, or look after a cat, or look after
Dogs.
a dog, or
Cats.
something like that. There doesn't seem to be much call for the 3D side of things. If they make games, like you said, like that bullets whizzing past, that'd be fantastic. I'd be up for that. But are they going to do that? That's the point.
I think it's possible that they're just sort of are testing this out before they release the technology in a slightly bigger kind of area. I mean, I think this is going to be the precursor to the new Nintendo sort of console coming out. That's like the new console that you hook up to your TV will probably be 3D. And I reckon if this succeeds in any way, they can get that sort of feedback and then
what worries
see
me
what people
is
say.
that they're releasing it on a medium that does not seem to cater very much for what it's required for, and that's a bit of a risky position.
If they see increased sales, then people will take notice. I mean, the big thing is, from where I'm seeing, Tom's right. You've got the 3D launch, test it and watch see how well it does. Nvidia makes the graphics card for the PS3. Now, Sony, when they launched the PS3, said that they weren't going to bring out a new console for at least 10 years because they could do constant software updates. If the next PS3 has a 3D graphics card, hooks up with a 1.4 HDMI cable to transfer 3D to a 3D TV, and then you flick over to 3D on telly, you're wearing your glasses with your wireless pad, and you're playing Final Fantasy, Gran Turismo, Red Dead Redemption, anything like that with tons of action, that will be absolutely kick-ass.
Yeah.
And that would be the best thing ever. I'm working in the electrical store. When the LED TVs came out, they were about £2,000–3,000. The next TVs that to get LED technology were 19-inch test bed tellies. Now these are tellies that are given a brand name by the electrical store, and it's a major developer, I'll say it, Samsung inside, with Philips speakers, and it's got LED technology, but it doesn't say Samsung anywhere on the product. And these LED tellies in the small screen are selling quite well. Samsung know they've got a good technology on their hands because they sell more of a small telly and get a kickback. So if the 3DS takes off rather well, Nintendo will, with ATI, who makes their graphics card, maybe make a 3D card, or Nvidia might sit up and say, well actually Nintendo's getting an even bigger slice out of this. If we talk to Sony, maybe we can make a PS4 which would be even better than what we're currently experiencing.
I'm still holding the position that what they're releasing it on currently runs the risk of people ignoring it completely. I feel that with that technology they should have put it on a larger console.
And I think that
to try it out.
I think that it's kind of the same with the previous with the previous two products, the
Connect and the Move.
The PlayStation Move and stuff, is that it's maybe not great right now, but it's the sort of way of the future. Yeah, I mean,
I suppose people
3D is certainly
coming.
I mean, it's here now, kind of. But I think it's the first step of something else. But even on its own, quite exciting. More exciting than
I think
the motion control.
Yeah, the 3DS to me is more exciting than Move and Connect. I think they're at this point in the generation we would be looking at the next console. We've got a completely new philosophy in that we don't go from NES to SNES to PlayStation every 5 years. We can't do that with the technology. We can upgrade with software instead. So they're not going to release new boxes. So they've got to release technology and do a test bed. And 3D's coming. We know it's coming. Connect, Move, bit rubbish, and I don't think it'll take off at all. But if the 3DS works, it's going to be there. And that's the hardware side. There hasn't been that much hardware that we've seen in E3. We're retaining all the consoles. It's only really add-ons for the new machines. PCs generally don't get that much of a look in apart from the 3D cards which were out last year anyway. The only minor console that was released, I say minor, is the Xbox 360 Slim is coming out. It's going to be half the noise of a standard Xbox, so it's actually going to be quite quiet. We all own Xboxes.
Well, it's still really noisy.
It goes away after about 5 days.
Depending on the volume you've got your game at, I mean, do you really pay attention to it?
Well, when you've got a 50-inch TV hooked up
It's
to a
like the
sound system.
vuvuzela of the gaming world, I think. It's pretty
It's
loud.
the noise when you've turned it off.
It's the noise when you turn it off and it keeps on going for half an hour. Yeah.